y'all, welcome back to Cajun Country Living. This week we're going to kind of continue some of the stuff that we were doing last week. We're going to continue with the ceiling joists. There's going to be a lot more little intricate detail that we're going to start putting into this thing. So glad to have you back.
And also, we're glad to be back in shorts.
Absolutely. That one day that dipped down to 50 degrees almost took me out. I'm not even lying. It's terrible.
Well, I guess let's get after it.
Might as well.
Before we get started today, Jim is going to show y'all what our rafters are going to end up looking like.
Yeah, whenever we cut these, you know, I kind of tend to overthink things sometimes, and actually Lydia does too. That's one of the things of building a house and having uncertainty about certain tasks is overthinking. So, we cut this on a 4-on-12, and I was thinking that the rafter was going to come in smooth with this edge, and that's just not correct. So I want to make sure that you know whenever we make a mistake or we overthink something, that way maybe if you're doing this, you won't do the same thing we did. So we decided to cut a sample rafter to put it up here. So this sample rafter, and we'll show you how we did this. It may or may not be right, but we're still going to show you. So this is what the 4-on-12 pitch will look like. Slid up against that ceiling joist. This will be nailed off. We're going to nail it on both sides. Plus, we're going to put a hurricane strip in. And it's hurricane clips, what some people call them. But anyway, this is just going to add extra enforcement from this plate on the side of the rafter to the top plates, tie it all together. I'll show you from the other side so you can see how much room we have to nail to. So this is what the intersection of the ceiling joist and the rafter is going to look like. So there'll be plenty to nail to down through here. We just kind of want to illustrate this so y'all can see, have a good perspective of what both sides are going to look like.
We are going to go ahead and put up, we only have about 13 ceiling joists left. So we're going to go ahead and put that up and see how far down that takes us. Okay, so this is where we stopped with our ceiling joist. They're actually going to go all the way down to the edge of this wall, running the same way, but we ran out of 2x6s. So for now, we're just going to put a 2x4 to hold our floating ceiling wall together, and that way they don't get warped or nothing too bad. We'll end up putting a beam up there eventually once we get all the wood for that. What you doing?
I was measuring the distance between this top plate and this first ceiling joist. If you could see, if I just nailed it where it was at, it wouldn't be straight. And the whole purpose of us putting the 2x4 on here is to hold these good and straight where they won't warp and allow us to have time to build the beams. We thought that this week would be a good time to start talking about some of our power and water ideas. We're doing things a little different than a lot of off-grid people would do, and that being said, A lot of people will go out there and they don't have power, don't have water, so they have to make it. We had the luxury of having temporary power and having temporary water. So our plan is to wean ourselves off of that while we have the luxury. We want to get into solar, and we really don't know much about it yet. We just haven't got to that phase in our adventure. So one thing we do know is when the sun's not out, you don't have any power. So one of the thoughts, Gus, don't you jump in that water. Don't you do it. You better go around. The best way we could think of is to supplement the power when the sun's not out. Is here it's going to be raining when the sun's not out. So this is a little natural drain that goes through this property. As you can see, it just kind of zigzags down through here. And it gets real narrow and steep down here. So when the sun isn't shining, it means it's raining, so this is flowing. What we're going to try to do is set up in one of these narrow openings right here, clean this natural drain out, and put in a turbine system. Now we'll probably build that with, I really don't know just yet, but maybe with a car engine alternator or some kind of generating unit like that that'll at least produce DC power. But this is all futuristic stuff. We haven't really come to 100% agreement on what we're going to do, but at least if we do that, like I said, sun's not out, you're not making electricity. Sun's not out, it's raining. Water is running down, so we can make and generate power.
Got any good memories of coming down here whenever you were a kid? Monkey.
Sounds like she's making some. Yeah, I do. I spent a lot of times back here on this little gully whenever I was a kid, catching minnows with a dip net and crawfish, and setting blind squirrel traps, and just coming back here and enjoying and playing. So right here on the ceiling joist, it come out all right for us because we're having a shallow roof. We have this 4-on-12. We have plenty to nail to. But I would just want to make sure that this is not the right way to cut the corners of your ceiling joist. It's the way we did it because we thought we were doing right. We're really not. The ceiling joist should have come straight up and then cut over, like the seat cut for your rafter. And like I said, we didn't even realize this till after we had already done it. Lucky for us, we have plenty to nail to, so it won't be an issue. Anyway, we just want to make sure that you knew that this was not the right way. This is, I guess, the Jimbo way. This is the way I did it. So this week didn't quite turn out how we planned. Between work and the holiday, we didn't get the lumber that we needed to finish up, so we decided we would just make the best of the day and go to the swamp and see if we could catch some fish. You know what they say, a bad day of fishing is better than any good day at work, so let's give that a shot. Whenever I was younger, I can remember the older men telling a story that there was a guy going to cut down this cypress tree. because it had a beehive in the top of it, and he wanted to get the honey out of it. This tree, there is no telling how old this cypress tree is. It's looked exactly the same since I was a child. So I can only relate my age to this tree and how it hasn't changed. Some of the members of my family, I can't remember exactly who all was involved, but they kept that man from cutting down this old tree. So now everybody that comes back here can still enjoy this big pretty old landmark that would otherwise been cut down just for a little bit of honey. So Lydia just caught this fish. It's a bowfin, and they're really not too good to eat. People around here call them grinnell, and they will bite you, and it will hurt. So we try to stay away from their mouth. So we're gonna take the hook out of this thing and let it go.
Well, of course, not being from here, I always hear these are really fun to catch. But like you said, they ain't good to eat, so we gotta go put it back. Agnes, is it fishy? She ain't interested.
And there he goes.